So we're going to move on then. I'm jumping quite a few years, and nearly 3 decades, in fact, to a film in which, well, there's certainly a lot happening. Whether any of it's worth happening, well, perhaps Scott can tell us when he tells us any given cocaine. I mean, Sunday, any given Sunday, Scott.
Yes. Oliver Stone's had a, let's politely say, interesting career, full of interesting choices and statements, particularly in his latest interesting role as a Putin apologist. So it's kind of strange then to go back and watch him tell a story like this, which, visual flair and talent aside, is a relatively standard sporting story set in the, certainly not the National American Football League. Here we have Alistair Pacino's Tony D'Amato playing the venerated coach of the not Miami Dolphins, but it seems that the glory days for both him and the team are in the rearview mirror. There's pressure from the club's owner, Cameron Diaz's Christine Pagnatti, to change things up, but change comes anyway when an injury to Dennis Quaid's Jack Cap Rooney, long-time starting quarterback, and his second-string replacement, sees the third stringer, Jamie Foxx's steaming Willie Beeman, thrust into the limelight. Underprepared and unused to the situation, Beeman initially stumbles but soon proves his chops, and with the team starting to pick up wins. The success and adulation quickly goes to Beeman's head, and he butts heads with the rest of the team's larger-than-life characters, and team cohesion evaporates. D'Amato would wants to bring Rooney back to stabilise the ship, but Christina would rather keep the wagon hitched to the media darling Beeman, up to the point of encouraging James Woods' Dr. Harvey Mandrake to interpret the medical results in a way that more benefits the team. There's a number of other subplots, tensions and character interactions that I'll leave to either Wikipedia summaries or the viewer, because it's worth taking a look at this film if you've not done so already. There's an impressive array of talent in front and behind the character on this production. It comes across as a highly kinetic, punchy skim across a season of on-field action, with character interactions and rivalries. It's an entertaining watch. I could argue it's fallen foul to the usual mathematics of many characters and a limited-ish runtime, and so it's not much more than scratching the surface of everyone, with arguably even Pacino and Fox being underserved, but it's bombing along so fast it's hard to notice until the credits roll. It's by no means a story you haven't heard before, but it's a solid enough basis to bounce some flamboyant characters on, solid performances off, and that's good enough for me.
The first time I watched this, which is quite a while ago now, and I'm pretty sure that I borrowed or was possibly told to borrow the DVD from Craig back in the day, I felt largely like you did, Scott. I would say we're fairly in line there.
I should. This is the first time I've watched it to my understanding or recollection.
I was quite looking forward to revisiting it because that's largely how I felt about it. This time around, not that I entirely didn't enjoy it. There are moments, and there are certainly good performances in there, and that's quite a bit to keep it going. But there are so many problems with this, and some of them aren't so much actually to do with the film. It's more that where we are now, knowing what we know now, some of it seems so much more egregious than it might have done at the time.
Yeah, it's very much a product of its time. I didn't get into that. But there's some things that would very clearly be described as problematic in today's context.
Which ought to have been then, but certainly now, post the chronic traumatic encephalopathy issues and the fact that the NFL has been exposed as one of the most reprehensible sporting organisations on the planet. Yeah. That some of this, it really seems bad. I mean, yeah, again, bad enough at the time, but now when you see the Carter Sharks heroic moment, it's like, that's criminal. All of it should be thoroughly condemned rather than looking like it's some sort of heroic moment and wanted to hang on to his $1 million paycheck and whatnot.
I don't know if that was ever really cast as heroic, though. That seemed to smack of desperation on his part and, outright malice on the club owner's part, though. I think
James Woods.
Obviously, James Woods is bad in everything. He's clearly just he's an evil performance. But yeah, I don't think heroic would be quite the right cast of that.
But then, too, there's other stuff that I pretty certain I didn't at least think about at the time, and whether I would have if I'd seen it. I don't know. I know what's like, but things like Dennis Quaid's. This is weird. Dennis Quaid is one of only 2 even vaguely sympathetic characters in this film, which is interesting. But his absolute arsehole of a wife telling him, basically, I think I'm going to get killed doing this. I want to give up. No, you're not allowed to do that. And Al Pacino effectively bullying him into returning despite the fact he's talking of pain and losing memory.
Yeah.
Incredible warning signs. Yeah, it's okay, but the bits like the the eyeball scene, the notorious eyeball scene, which I believe wasn't in the theatrical version. That's an addition where somehow somebody's eye gets ripped out in a cartoon manner, and then, as if that wasn't bad enough, the ridiculous comedy take that's shown from when Al Pacino sees it. We're talking double taking pigeons quality here.
That's hard.
It's that bad. So, like, watching this film, it's more just the fact that I don't think I'd realised before that so few of the characters have any morals at all, which may well be a part of it, I get, but it's like the only even vaguely moral character is Matthew Modine, and then for some reason they undercut that, or at least it's suggested that he's decided, oh, I'll just give this guy an injection because, despite having put his career on the line before that to make sure he got told the truth. That was a weird choice. And it's a film full of weird choices and some stupid lines, which I don't know whether there's a line there in particular. I don't know if it's a stupid line or made a line to make Jamie Foxx look stupid, but I know there's that section near the end where there's lots and lots of footage of Ben-Hur.
Yeah.
And when Jamie Foxx turns up at Al Pacino's house and he sees Ben-Hur on the TV and it's during a chariot race, and he goes, the gladiators of their time. Like, really? I'm pretty sure the gladiators of their time were gladiators, given the time that was. And yeah, that's not really the point, but I suppose what it did nail particularly well, though, in the dialogue was the idiocy of all sporting commentators ever, with such great lines as, he's got genius ankles, and this is where the famous rubber meets the famous road. It's an absolutely perfect encapsulation of how dumb most sports commentators are.
I'm just, I just forgot about your thing for gladiators, man. Drew and his gladiators.
I mean, it was a good TV show, but time's long gone.
I was going to say, I had been singing the Gladiators theme tune there, and I realised that I had my mic muted, so sorry you missed that comedy gold.
Last thing I'll say about this, though, this is an LL Cool J film in which sharks are involved, and it's not the one in which he killed a shark with an oven, and that's by far the better film despite that, so Deep Blue Sea for the win.
Yeah. I didn't rewatch this. I haven't seen Any Given Sunday since I bought the DVD. I hadn't seen it in the theatre. I bought the DVD sight unseen because it's got Al Pacino in it. At a time when simply having enough money meant buying DVDs was a thing, and other people saying this was quite a good film was enough justification to part with cash for them. And I quite enjoyed it then, and I'm happy for it to remain that way in my memory. I remember sort of random. I remember the whole sort of the typical Oliver Stone mixed film stock thing, and like, you know, someone would tackle someone in the field and there would be a random cut to like a thunderstorm or something like that. And I remember the eyeball thing, and that's that.
Yeah, it's a strangely edited film, certainly too. It'll, like, there's changes to film stock, it'll randomly go to black and white. At some point you're suddenly inside of a music video.
Yeah.
It's points to see a music video being filmed, but at some points it's actually inside a music video. Then towards the end there's weird bits where there's like the time, the clock overlaid on bits of the non-broadcast footage. It's a strange film.
Yeah, but that was a very Oliver Stone thing to do at the time. Like when I think about this and U-Turn, which I think is pretty much universally hated, but I still really like, and Natural Born Killers, they all have a very similar mixed media, mixed film stock kind of style. He was really into just randomly chucking stuff in there. There's a great deal of Tony Scott in the editing as well, I think, stylistically. Yeah. But yeah,
not quite as kinetic, but yeah, there's a chunk of that in there. Yeah,
it's like Tony Scott without the action, basically. But I remember really liking Any Given Sunday, and it was my thorough intention, if I had time to prioritise revisiting that for our discussion tonight. Alas, I did not have time, and I will probably never get round to watching it again. I can't imagine it getting back to the top of that list, but you never know.
I mean, it's not one of those films where I've enjoyed it once and gone back and like been hugely disappointed or questioning my earlier younger self hugely. It's just this time it's like it didn't do a lot for me, and I was much more critical of the the more the meta of it, I guess, and around like how badly these players are treated and things.
Do you know the other thing I remember, actually, before we go on to whatever the next movie is? I remember that Jamie Foxx music video thing, the Willie. It was Jamie Foxx as Willie Beeman, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do I remember this lyric correctly? Because this is the only thing I think I can remember other than those parts I mentioned. My name is Willie Beeman. I got the chicks creaming.
That's right, yeah.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. 4 stars.
Shakespearean, Craig.
Absolutely. Probably best to move on.